Hey now, it's your brother Marcus with another edition of the Elements of Inspiration Brother Marcus podcast. America, we have somebody that is in the studio. He is a pastor, an author, a husband, a father, a teacher, everything rolled up into one individual who happens to, work out as well. So, this is an individual that is very serious about what he does, and what he does best. Ladies and gentlemen, show some agape love, some fresh love for my brother from another mother, Mr. Greater than a deacon, Pastor Ralph Graves Jr.
Hey, all man. Right.
How you doing, man?
Brother Marcus, man? It's so good to be on this show, man. Thank you for calling me and having me, man. I'm excited, brother.
Man, I'm excited that you had the opportunity to come in and be a part. I know that you have a very busy schedule. A lot of things have been happening with you, and as I do with all of the guests, I like to take it back to when you were young. Okay. Where did you, where were you born? Where did you grow up at?
I was born and raised in a small town in New Jersey called Deptford, New Jersey.
Oh, Deptford.
Yeah, way back in 19-something.
19-something, okay. We're going to leave it right there. 19-something and some change.
I was born and raised in Deptford, New Jersey, yeah.
And what was it like for you growing up in Deptford? That's like a middle-class area, I believe.
Well, I mean, back then, man, we're talking, 70s, 80s, 60s, late 60s, 70s, 80s, man. It was, you remember that show Wonder Years?
Yes.
Yeah, it was Wonder Years.
Oh, man, that was that was a nice area.
Yeah,
especially in those times.
Yeah, it was pretty good, man. Son of a pastor, and my dad worked for the United States government over in Philadelphia.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so, your dad got a government job. I have no horror stories. My parents were together. My mom's been an educator for years, Christian home. So when Bill Cosby show came on, everybody thought it was so special. And I'm like, this is the way me and my brother live. This is not special.
You know what? I realized just now that you had it good, and I don't like you.
Yeah. And the funny part is, you have it good, but when you're young, you think it's the worst thing in the world.
Oh,
my parents won't let me do anything.
Man, I'm like, my parents won't let me eat.
Yeah.
Nah, wasn't nothing to eat. But anyhow, we've made it past that. So you went to you lived in Deptford. You were born there. Yeah. And who's older, you or your brother?
I am 3 years older. Yeah,
3 years older, and you're much bigger than him too, I'm sure.
No, man, we both stayed in the gym. We got in the gym early, like around 30. My dad bought us the first weight set. I think I was about 13, so my brother about 10. It was a little plastic one from Sears full of concrete. And it was like 110 pounds, and we never looked back.
Well, y'all some big brothers. Y'all some big folk.
Yeah.
I'm glad I don't have no problems with you.
Oh, man. No, we might be big, man, but we love peace.
Yeah, love peace and put people in pieces. And so you grew up in Deptford, and so what was the first thing that led you to say, you know what, I can be a pastor, or I want to be a pastor? Or how did that happen for you? Because I know your father was a preacher.
Yeah.
Before I even talked about that, is your brother a minister or a preacher as well?
No.
So it skipped over your brother and came back to you.
Yeah. I tell people, it's because when the Holy Spirit came in the room, I slept closest to the door. So there
you go.
If he was closer to the door, he probably would have landed on him as well.
Right.
But he is also a mighty man of God. He just doesn't preach or pastor.
I'm sure he can preach, but he just doesn't.
Right.
All right. So how old were you when you were like, wait a minute, something's different about me?
Well, man, I know I received the call. I had to be about 8 or 9 years old.
Oh, wow.
But I knew it then. I knew it. I didn't accept it until I was 20 because I was trying to convince God that he called the wrong guy. So I wanted to, I did everything I could to convince the Lord of that. I was as bad and cantankerous as I wanted to be.
Look at those big old fancy words.
Yes. I used that in Scrabble the other day. It's a triple word score, my friend.
Cantankerous, ladies and gentlemen. So now we see that, and it's interesting because when you say that you were about 8 years old, that God had his hand in your life, and it's interesting that when I was 8 years old, back in 1979, I believe it was.
Okay.
That's when I knew that I was different.
You were 8 in 79?
I think so. I think so. What am I? Yeah, we ain't gonna try to do the mathematics. But I was like 8 in 1979. Yeah, that's it. So, but getting back to you, because our stories are kind of similar.
Yeah.
Where you actually knew then that you were different, and you grew up like any other teenager.
Right.
Got into trouble. did some things that that teenagers
purposely,
do.
purposely.
Yeah. And so after all of that, and you realize, were you in going into college, or just kind of like working a regular job, figuring things out, and then you were like, wait a minute.
I was pretty successful playing football, and then I went to North Carolina Central University for a short time. I tell people I had a cup of coffee there because I wanted to be grown, and my girlfriend, who was my wife at the time,
all right now.
I can't say. Well, we became pregnant.
There you go.
Yes.
There you go.
Is that the right way to say that?
Yes. That's
and
right.
I was 20 and she was 18, and I just said I'm not. And people said, "Oh, man, you should finish school," and that might have been great at the time, but I just felt this awesome responsibility. I have a child coming, and we weren't thinking about getting married. I just knew I had a child coming, and I had to take care of my child. So I joined the United States Coast Guard.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that's what's up.
Yeah,
that was an excellent decision.
It was, and when you're out in the middle of the Bering Sea, and the boat's rocking and rolling, and it's darkness and blackness all around, you tend to say, "Yes, Lord."
Listen, I know how it feels. I know. In terms of being away from everything, like being on a plane, to me does that to me.
Right.
Like, oh Lord,
Yeah. So it was it was really I was away from the family. Again, I was stationed in Alameda, California, but I was stationed to a boat called U.S. Coast Guard Cutter Rush, and we did Alaskan patrols. And I was a SP, a shore policeman. Man, and when you're on shore, you're on base, and 4 a.m., 2 a.m., you praying, you talking to the Lord, and you finally yield yourself to the calling. And I had told my dad that at the time. I told him I was called to preach. I told him that I knew it and I was ready to answer the call, but I still had some living to do, and I didn't get up in the pulpit till I was 25.
All right, but listen, and because you had to do some living, you
had to have some living to do,
and
that
makes total sense. To me. You have to grow up. You can't just, some people that they are past the baton, so to speak, and they're not ready.
Yeah, and I didn't pastor till I was 37. So what I'm saying. So it was. I praise God for my journey. It seemed long at the time, but I tell you what, brother, there are men and women who started with me, who for whatever reason are no longer there. Wow. And I credit it to my foundation, to my father slow walking me. I mean, I could have had half of Philadelphia if I wanted to. Yeah. But my dad slow walked me, man, and he knew his son. I would have messed up, brother.
Oh, I would have messed up. But this is the good thing, is that your father was present, and your father was able to guide you and lead you. Yeah. And he was, really the firm foundation for your success in the ministry, teaching you the ropes is what I mean. Yeah. So let's talk about your mom before we talk about your dad.
Okay.
Now, how was your mom dealing with you as a a young soon-to-be father? Yeah. You're away from home. You're trying to do what is right.
Yeah.
How did all of that affect her?
My parents were very loving. They knew something. I never forget, before I told them that my wife now, but my girlfriend at the time was pregnant, she said, "Something was wrong with you. What is wrong with you?" Like I didn't want to tell them because I thought I'd break their hearts. Yeah. And I told them, and they were like, "Okay. I mean, what are you gonna do? I mean, the baby's coming. Yeah. What you gonna do?"
Did they know her?
Yes, very well. Very well. They were, disappointed that we jumped the gun. I tell, when people see us now, I say, "Oh, you guys are so young to have 3 children." And
you guys do look young.
And I'm like, well, we were fresh. Don't do what we did. We were fresh. But mom, a praying mother, praying mom, she prayed for us constantly. We had a very, both our parents prayed, but my mom, and I gave my mom a hard time as a youngster. I gave her a hard time, but she prayed over me. And no matter what kind of hard time I gave her, I never forget, I was about to hit the street with the boys one time, and I always tell the story. My mom had a prayer group at the house, and one of my best friends, the car was loaded. We had all the beverages. We was ready to go. We had everything lined up. The people were ready. I'm about to run out the house, and she said, "Come here." And about 5 or 6 women prayed over me. I didn't feel like getting in the car, man.
Wow. But that's the authentic. Well, I can't even say it. That's the real authentic parents of that time that prayed and believed God over their children. You're gonna go and do what you want to do. I'm gonna put my hands on you. I'm gonna pray and do what you want to do.
I remember when I told my mom, that listen, I really want to get. Well, my mom. Let me tell you this about my mom. So I'm talking about my mom. Me and my wife didn't get married right away because she was pregnant, because that would have been a disaster too. It probably would have been divorced. We didn't get married till our oldest was 3.
Okay.
Because again, we both had some growing to do.
Absolutely.
But part of our story is, my wife, people see First Lady Tina Graves and, oh my God, she's a family nurse practitioner. She's so successful. She was a teen mom. People forget that. But anyway, my mom, as far as she was concerned, she was like, well, that's your wife, as far as I'm concerned.
Exactly.
You ain't bringing no other Jones to the crib. You ain't bringing.
There you go.
That's your wife, And so the parents were always mom was always very supportive of me and my brother, and doesn't tolerate a whole lot of stuff. Still doesn't to this day. I laugh at her, but she tolerates the grandkids more than she ever tolerated me and my brother.
And they get more of the breaks.
Oh my goodness, what? Are you kidding me? but a praying, godly household, and I try to, matter of fact, we made sure that our children saw us praying for them, and my kids watched me praying for their mom, and I'd stop them going out the door and pray. I still do. I do it with our grandkids now, but prayer is the great, is a powerful, I don't say, a weapon. It is a weapon. It just really assists us, man. My 20 years as a police officer, I know that probably my wife and my parents are probably sick to their stomach.
Wait a minute, hold on a second. You mean I got the police up in here?
You got the police up in here.
Oh, I got the po-po. Oh, no. I'm just kidding. He's definitely a great police officer. So now we realize the relationship between you and your mother and your father, and how they kind of understood what was going on. And not to say that they condoned what happened, but they definitely were showing you that, their love is greater than what you.
Oh yeah. They didn't play. You know what I mean? No, they didn't play. My dad used to tell me, man, there's 2 things I don't do, and they're both are play. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I had that father.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Loved it though. I needed that.
Yeah. And I can see, like, one of the things that, when I first met you, I can't remember where we met, but it was something about you that was.
You know where we met?
On a radio show somewhere, I think, right?
Denny's. Jeff Morrell.
Oh, wait. Okay. All right. I'm all up, man. But I know that when we met, we just connected.
And then after that, we went to the radio station, I think.
Yeah. And from that point, we just always clicked.
That. Yeah.
But you have a good spirit about you, and I consider you to be in my close.
Amen. We are brothers, man. We are. It's been a long time now.
Yeah. It's been a long time, and I've watched you, from a distance, do a lot of things, write books and have radio programs, and you've been on hiatus for a little bit, and I know you're getting ready to do some other things.
Yes, sir.
Moving the church from one place to another.
Yes, sir.
Like, we want to get into all of that as well. So we know about you as growing up. Mm-hmm. We talked about you, being raised and, having a child before you got married.
Right.
And I appreciate you being very candid, because a lot of people are going to learn from this. Now, we talked about mom, dad. Let's talk about your wife.
Amen. Yeah, that's my favorite. That's my favorite subject.
I'm going to say this because we cool. She is a very pretty lady.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And I'm saying that in all respect.
I appreciate that, man. I know. I appreciate that.
And I'm like,
Thank
your mother chose up for you already. That's the one you're going to have. Right?
Yeah, that's right. She was like, you ain't married nobody else.
So let's talk about her. Now, I know that she is a nurse practitioner.
Yes, she is.
Which is, and not knocking anybody for being, a nurse or, but she's in a higher position of a nurse. That's awesome. Yeah. So, when did she become a nurse?
Well, we were married, and she was working at a bank, and I never forget. And we had the 3 children by then. We had the other 2, and I think I was about. I tell people I was 25, man. 3 kids, married wife, and 3 children. And we had the other 2. Had other 2, of course, after we got married. But she was sitting around. She said, "I'm not happy at the bank." And I said, "What do you want to do?" And she said, "I want to go to nursing school." And I said, "Well, quit your job and go." Now, I was kidding.
Wow.
But she quit her job and she went. And so
wow.
So she went. At the time, it was a nursing school called Helene Fold. Mm-hmm. And she went there, and from Helene Fold, she got a job at Virtual Hospital. Then she was at Virtual some time. Then she got her bachelor's degree from Wilmington. Then she got her master's in FNP from Rowan.
Wow.
And it's been a journey. And she did it not in consecutive years, but she did it over time, man. And I praise God for her journey and
she did that.
Yeah, she did that. She did that with a husband and 3 children.
And a husband who was a police officer.
Yeah. And really, man, I've been married 33 years, man.
Wow.
And
3 children, 33 years.
Yeah,
married.
it's easy now.
Yeah, but in the beginning, I know it's always
man.
trying to figure it out when you guys first getting together and having a kid, and when you finally move in and marry together, it's like there's things you didn't know, and you're like, what?
Right.
But then you grow and then you get to understand,
Yeah, and she's such an amazing woman, man, because she has loved Ralph Graves through every phase of his life. She loved Ralph Graves, the high school boy. Mm-hmm. She loved Ralph Graves, the college guy, the service guy. And so she loved me from a child to the grandfather that I am today.
And that's powerful.
Yeah,
that's really powerful, man. And so you have a wonderful wife who's doing great things. Mm-hmm. And I want to talk about her a little bit more. Yeah. Now, I know that, because I know you, you guys are always continuously doing something, growing, moving forward. Because since we've been connected, I'm like, wow, he's an author now. Wow, he's doing radio. Wow, he's doing, and I know that your wife, she's doing some things right now.
Yeah.
She's a nurse practitioner doing what?
She was with Virtua. If I can say Virtua, I know they're not a sponsor, but she was with them over 20 years or something like that, 18 or 20 years. And my wife is not into sick care. She's into wellness, and she saw a lot of sick people. And she was with CVS for a while, as a family nurse practitioner with CVS. And she said people are coming in sick, and they're being kept on some medications too long. And so we really got into wellness. And what she decided to open up a few years ago, before the pandemic, and I was doing IV hydration. I was getting all of my vitamins through IV, and I would go twice a month. And then she started going, and she noticed how healthy we were staying. And, I never got sick going to pandemic, none of that, Wow. So and so she said, I want to open up my own IV hydration.
Wow. So now that's company. She's doing that now.
And I said, yeah, sure, let's do it. And again, I thought she was kidding. And right now, she is the CEO, and she is the number one one go-to person at Live Again Wellness.
Wow.
LiveAgainWellness.com, and it's in Vineland, New Jersey. And it's just our first location in Vineland, but she will travel. But man, when I tell you, she's tapped into something, man, that I'm just so proud of her. With the IV hydration, you get your vitamin B, your vitamin C, you get your immune boosters. I recently did something called NAD, which is anti-aging and fights against dementia and Alzheimer's. Oh, wow. And man, it's all about cell repair. And like I said, prior to giving my life to Christ, I damaged some cells.
Oh yes, I'm listening. I'm
and
sure
so it's all about. So it's all about cell repair, man, and your body wants to stay well. So we do everything we can at Live Again Wellness. We do everything we can to keep your body well, to assist your body. Everything. All of your ailments start at the cellular level. All of them.
And this is what I want to say about you. Again, because I've watched you, I've known you, and you're not only concerned about the spiritual aspect of people's lives. Right. It's also the physical aspects and staying healthy. Like again, you always worked out. You and your brother, your dad got you guys a weight set. When you were little, so you always had a consciousness of being healthy, being strong, being fit.
Sure.
And he that findeth a wife findeth a good thing.
Yes, sir.
You found this wonderful woman, and of course, none of us are perfect, but y'all kind of grew together. Yeah. And then as she began to move forward, she realized, wait a minute, people need to be healthy.
Yeah.
And so this is how the spiritual growth thing that I see with you guys is awesome. That's why I wanted to mention, a little bit about her. Yeah. And now getting back to you.
Can I say this about, can I encourage somebody today? If you're a Christian, you've got to marry a Christian. You've got to marry someone who has the same belief systems, because what looks crazy to other people don't look crazy to people who together trust God.
Yes.
You know, somebody would have told their wives, ain't no way in the world you're going to leave 6 figures to do something where we have zero money and don't know if the people want to come do it. But we stepped out. She was called to do it. So when you are together and moving in the same direction, you step out on faith together. I mean, I can't imagine. I mean, you can marry who you want to marry, but there's certain things we don't argue about. We don't argue about prayer. We don't argue about church. We don't argue about Bible reading, Bible study, or stepping out on faith.
There you go.
I just may encourage your heart. You hold on, hold out, and the Lord has somebody for you.
There you go. The Lord has somebody for you.
Yes, He does. You keep on trusting God.
And so we talked about you being a brother, a son, a husband.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about Ralph Graves Jr.
Yes, sir.
The father.
Yeah.
3 children.
3 children.
All right, let's talk about them. Names.
Jasmine, she's our oldest. Jasmine, Janae, and Ryan. We have 2
Now,
girls
Ryan,
and a boy. Yeah.
I remember seeing Ryan when you were doing ministry down in I'm going to say deep South Jersey.
Yeah.
And as a high school student, this dude was huge.
Yeah, and the legacy continues.
I said,
he's still big. He's a big man.
O to the M to the G. As a kid, he was bigger than me.
Yeah.
And I'm a grown man.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But so let's talk about your oldest
my children are phenomenal, man. You know,
all of them are.
They're grown, man.
Yeah, healthy,
they're healthy.
things.
They're doing great. Jasmine, Jayla Ray Photography. But check this out. My 2 daughters, they work at my wife's place because
awesome.
We got to do that.
Yeah.
Jayla Ray Photography. She's doing phenomenal, man. She's one of the best photographers in the area, and I'm not just saying that.
We got to definitely get.
If you see any of my headshots and. They're all my daughter, man, and I mean, she does weddings, she does a lot. She's a great mother. She has 3 children.
Okay.
Gabriel, Emmanuel, and Naomi.
Love the names.
Yeah, so she has 2 teenagers, and Naomi has to be 9 or 10, something like that.
And who's the daughter that like I think one of them.
That's Janae, bodybuilding.
Yeah,
that was Janae. She was a power lifter.
Yeah.
Janae is an author. She wrote a book called One Fine Day. She works for me at the church. Works for her mother as well. She's married. She's now Janae Padilla.
Okay.
She has a phenomenal husband. His name's Chris, and they're expecting their first child.
Oh, snap!
Yeah. So she left the powerlifting world to start a family, but she keeps saying, "I gotta get back." She was ranked in the state. She was ranked.
That's
man.
good.
She was ranked, and so she's doing a great job. And then of course there's Ryan. He's
growing.
People were teasing me. He's 31, right? So people were teasing me when I had 2 girls. I was,
Wait, I'm sorry. How is he 31? I know that, but you look like you're 31.
No, man. No. I told you I was born in the 60s. But thank you for saying that. But people were telling me, my cousins are tough on me. I come from a large male contingent.
There you go.
And when I was having 2 girls, it was, oh man, take a man to make a man. You ain't no man. So so
when Ryan
the
came,
third one, I was like, yes, and he's a phenomenal young man. He works at he's a machine operator at a wonderful company in South Jersey. They're doing phenomenal things. But Ryan is also the CEO of Superior Fitness.
Oh wow!
That's his company, and that's really beginning to grow, and the ball's moving on that. But also too, Ryan just received a call to preach, so
there you have it.
Yeah, he'll be preaching his trial sermon soon.
Good, and that's what I'm talking about, man.
Like, so it trickles down the anointing.
And sometimes it takes longer for other people to follow what God is calling.
He's a phenomenal musician,
What does he play?
He plays the drums and the bass, and he fools around on the keys a little bit. He can only play one song on the keys, but if he ever got serious, he could play a lot.
I hope it ain't Mary Had a Little Lamb.
No, man, I don't even want to tell you what's the name of that song he plays. Oh man, he plays that song. Look, I'm gonna wait till you get done drinking. I'm gonna tell you what he plays. Plays that song by Jodeci. By not by Jodeci, by the 2 brothers. Who are they? KC and JoJo.
KC and JoJo. Mm-hmm.
I will never find another.
Yeah,
that one. Sweeter than you. Whatever song.
Yeah,
that
I know what you're talking about.
I said all the songs in the world. You play that one. So, yeah.
So no, that's. I know that you're a great father.
Yeah,
I know that
we have
you
a good
and Ryan
time.
have a great relationship.
Yeah,
and 3 grandkids, 1 on the way.
Yeah.
And so life is good. Yeah. It hasn't always been.
So I'm still in the fight. Life is good, but you're gonna fight every step of the way. And I don't want anybody to think that you're not gonna have to fight. I don't care if you show up when the Lord delivers you to your promised land,
Right.
there's still giants that have to be killed.
Oh, yeah.
There's still ways that have to be made.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's still lands that have to be conquered. There's still people that have to be reached. So you're always going to be in the fight.
All right. So
You're always going to be in the fight.
now let's talk about Ralph Graves, the pastor.
Amen.
Let's talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
You started out in ministry. Did you take over a church, or did you start a church? Like
We planted a church. We organized. I won't say plant. The Lord planted. We organized a church.
There you go.
I was in my father's ministry for my entire life, and he pastored 41 years. And I was there, and I think a lot of people probably expected me to stay there, but my personality did not allow me. Wouldn't have served. I'm strong in my personality, and the Lord just called me out, and there's nothing wrong with that. And my father was very supportive. He, we didn't let the rumor go around, oh, the church is splitting, because the church didn't split. We told our home church, because it was true. You are pregnant with another church.
Yeah.
So out of Mount Olive Baptist Church in Magnolia, they gave birth to Cornerstone Community Church. And we started in Millville with 10 people.
10.
And I tell people 5 of them live with me.
There you go.
We were 5. There's another 5. And that was 18 years ago. And man, we have grown by leaps and bounds. God has grown us, but that's Ralph Graves, the pastor. I've been, Philadelphia College of Bible, Eastern Theological Seminary. My whole life, I went to Gloucester County Christian Day School in elementary school. You know what I mean?
There you go.
And then I went to high school. But so it's that's how we planted the church, man. I went away with the Alliance Church had a church planting seminar, and I had to go up to if you know anything about the Alliance Church, But anyway, I was at the Alliance. They had a church planting seminar, and I was up in Lancaster, and I met some great people, had a good time. And at the Alliance Church offered me a church.
Wow.
Yeah, they offered me a church in Orange County, California.
Oh man.
But again, you got to know what you were called to do.
Exactly. Because, even though it looks good and it sounds good, but if God didn't call you to do it, then, but that's good.
That would have been a great salary in the whole 18 years. I still haven't taken a salary. So, but it would have been a great salary, put up in the house. I'm in Orange County, and I've been miserable. Golden handcuffs, like I always say.
Yeah, that's an inside thing for those of you who know.
Yeah.
So we know that, you're a pastor. You've led a lot of people to Christ.
Amen.
And some of the things that your ministry has done and still does.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. I remember one I can mention when you you had a food distribution
you were there
event. Yeah, I came down.
Yeah.
Y'all were giving out like hundreds of turkeys or something. I was like, man, I should take one home, but I didn't.
You should have. Like attracts like. So there are a lot of brothers, a lot of men in my church just like me.
Oh,
and a lot of women just like my wife. Like attracts like. Very forward, very bold, very, hey, man, we say we're going to do something, we're going to do something. And so when we talked about turkey giveaway, one of my closest friend, he owns a trucking company. And so he pulled up one of his trucks, man. I think we had over 500, 600 turkey, it might have been 1,000. And we flipped that thing up like Nino Brown.
Yeah.
We gave out turkeys to everybody. But we, our church is very, we like to give, but turkeys are great during the holidays. But I tell people all the time, we forget about the kids. So what we did, we adopted a school, and the idea wasn't mine. I got it from my buddy who did it in California. There was 300 students in school. We sized them all up, and we bought 300 pairs of sneakers and gave it out to all the children at the school. And even some of we had over 300. I mean, everybody from Kohl's, everybody was giving up money to do that. Teachers and teachers' aides, and when you pastor in a city, you have to know the demographic of the city.
Absolutely.
And what was weird? It was like the kids said we need shoestrings. Like I would never thought anybody needs shoestrings. They're like, our older brothers and sisters take our shoestrings.
Oh wow.
Yeah, man. So you just got to pay attention.
It's funny. You've always met the needs of the people, whether it's through clothing or food or, like you guys used to do like a soup kitchen or a soup something.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, it was a soup kitchen. It was a food bank. It was all that. Yeah.
So, I mean, and this is what I really enjoy about you as a person, that it's always about other people.
It has to be. Man. It has to be.
I can call you at any time and know that you're going to be readily available.
Yeah, without a doubt.
And so I thank God for that. Now, We talked about, you being, the pastor. Let's talk about you being an author. How did that come about? Let's talk about the book.
Well, when you read all the time, going back to my mom, she made me and my brother read all the time. Mm-hmm. And I just loved, we were read too. Mm-hmm. And we were read, we read all the time. So, man, I love reading probably more than anything else.
Okay.
And so when you read, you can write, I guess.
Yeah.
And so I wrote a book called Unstoppable.
Let's talk about Unstoppable.
Yeah,
what is the essence of that book?
Well, 7 universal laws, right? And 7 universal laws that if you just apply them, you'll be successful.
Give us 3 because I don't want everybody to get it all. We want them to go ahead and purchase that book.
Let me tell you the origin of the book. I was a police officer, like I said, for 20 years, and I noticed that no matter who you were, no matter what color your skin, saved, unsaved, born again, not born again, if you just respected certain things that God put in place, outside of salvation, you're going to be all right. Yeah. I tell everybody, I'm not one of these, the universe is God, because universe is not God. Our God created the universe. Let me just put that right there. All right. He is the maker and supreme ruler of heaven and earth.
Say that one more
Our
again.
God created the universe. Okay. The universe is not God. None of that. Our God stepped out of darkness, stepped into the chaos and created. So, okay. So I don't want to preach. But anyway, I just noticed that there were universal laws like gravity.
Yes.
Gravity is a universal law. Mm-hmm. I don't care who you are. You've got to respect gravity. Mm-hmm. Some people, I don't care if you're a Christian, a Muslim, a Jew, whatever. If we're all on the building and jump off, the Christian ain't going to grow wings. He has to respect gravity. Mm-hmm. And so I wrote about 7, and there's hundreds of universal laws that if you pay attention to in life, you'll be successful. So I just wrote about 7 of them that I noticed while I was on patrol and while I was leading men and women out there. I noticed 7 and the law of forgiveness is one. The law of reciprocity. Mm-hmm. If you don't give, you will never have.
Ooh.
Period.
Now, you know that. We're going to stay right there. We're going to tarry on that. If you do not give,
you'll never have.
You'll never have.
You'll never have.
And that's one of the things that I often try to share, with people. I said, give. Yeah. Be a giver.
Yeah.
And don't be, just give.
Yeah.
And don't always be a taker.
No.
Or a manipulator trying to manipulate somebody for your own gain. Because ill-gotten gain is never good.
No, and it's real simple. And I try to share this with my grandkids. And I think my kids know it because they're living by it. They're doing great. A mentor of mine, John Maxwell, who I know, he said it like this. He said, if you help as many people get what they want, everybody will help you get what you want. As simple as that.
Yeah. And
it's serving people.
But this is the interesting thing too. You do that because that's what you do. That's who you are.
Yeah.
Not that you want to receive anything.
No,
I've watched you over time.
Yeah.
You're always doing, giving, and inviting and giving opportunity.
Amen.
So from the book, let's talk about being the radio celebrity that you are. What has inspired you to get into radio, and how did that all happen?
The book opened up the door for the radio, and I tell people, authors, everybody I believe has a book in you, but don't write book for the money because you won't. Elements of inspiration, you know the deal. You're not going to get rich because you wrote a book, but it'll open up doors for you, and it opened up a platform for us, and we got on the radio and really enjoyed it, and loved it, man. Still do. That's why I wanted to come in. I love radio. I love radio. I love podcasting. I love all those things, and so it opened up a door for that because your life is about who you influence and how you influence, and making an impact on people's lives for the better. If I could just encourage that anybody, young, old, whoever you are, that if you're still here, if God gave you the nod to get up this morning, you're still here, you still have a life's purpose. Your job's not done. I've read the Bible several times, Brother Marcus. I've never seen the word retirement in the Bible. I've never seen the word retirement.
Interesting, right?
One of my associate ministers said, I found retirement, Pastor. I said, where'd you find it? He said it was in a phrase called unto death. And so I believe if you're still here,
you got a purpose.
You have a purpose.
You have a job.
And you have value. Listeners, you have value.
Yeah.
You have value, man.
Yeah. And that's, again, I just appreciate what you've been able to do as, growing up in Deptford, New Jersey, spending time, under the tutelage of your pastor, your father pastor, and your mother, and you raising, you have being married, raising children, business, and being an author, being a pastor, being a radio personality, celebrity, and all of that. And it's interesting because you like what you do, but you don't really care to be famous or popular. It just comes with the territory and what you do. Now, I want to shift a little bit because I know your father is no longer here with us.
Amen.
And so I want to just talk about your dad.
Mm-hmm.
What was he to you, or who is he still today to you?
Oh man, listen. Outside of God, his voice was the most influential. And he led me to God. He led us to a relationship with God through his son, Jesus Christ. He led us there. So everything to me, everything, man, everything. Hero. When I remember in high school, they said, write about your hero. And I was like, I don't know who the rest of y'all writing about. I'm writing about my pop. I watched him make the sacrifices. I watched him defend me publicly while kicking my tail behind closed doors.
That's right. Family sticks together, stay together. Yeah.
And so I've watched him I love my wife the way I do because I watched my father love my mother the way he did. And so whenever my single son gets married, whoever he marries, she's gonna be very fortunate because he's gonna love her the way he sees me love his mom. So everything, man. He was everything to me, and I had the opportunity to be. God's so good. Had the opportunity to be there the moment he transitioned.
Wow, now that's powerful.
Yeah.
And I don't want to sound weird.
Yeah.
But a lot of people in this world will never get that opportunity to see their parents transition. Not that any of us want to,
right?
But it is a moment that you really can't explain.
Yeah. And
it's almost like, they brought you here into this world, and now you get to hold their hand and be with them as they walk into the next life.
And I count it very special that God would grant me that. And my father died. I was 52, and I said, man, I needed him for 52 years, and Lord, let us have him for 52 years. Me for 52 years, right? And so I just, he was ready. We all were at peace with it. I was reading scripture to him, and let me tell you, man, the last verse I read to him, and this is so deep for me, was in the book of Psalms where it says, precious in the sight of the Lord are the death of his saints.
Wow.
And my father took his last breath on that verse.
Man.
With me reading to him about 5 minutes after midnight.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's powerful. You were 52.
Yeah.
5 and 2 is 7 is the number of perfection. Let me stop getting into I'm a weird guy.
No, man, I never looked at it that way, but I received that, brother. That's not weird. I received that.
I
received that.
I see the world in a whole different light.
Amen.
But
Amen.
So I wanted to talk about, your dad. And is there any memorabilia or things that you kind of go through or like hear tapes or CDs of him and
Let me tell you, my father's from the old school. He started preaching in 1966.
Wow.
He was a manuscript preacher. Wrote everything down.
Wow.
I have every last one of those sermons.
Isn't that's powerful? You can sit back.
Every last one.
And because of you are who you are based on your, spiritual experience with your dad, you can gain a lot of gold nuggets or even try to attempt to preach.
Let me tell you something. Listen, first of all, to all my folks out there, no preacher, none of us are going to preach anything brand new. Okay, we preaching the same thing the apostles preached.
Yeah.
We were just preaching to a different time, right? And if you're a gospel preacher, John 3:16 is John 3:16, period.
Yeah.
Now, if you're hey, oh my goodness, I'm going to get in trouble.
Go ahead, man.
If you've been called to preach the gospel. Don't get up there and try to be a life coach. That's where you get messed up. Standing in your pulpit on Sunday morning trying to be a life coach, trying to be a motivational speaker. No, preach the gospel. Somebody out there on their way to hell, and you talking about something else, huh? But anyway, so
no, but what we're gonna do? We're gonna do another show with Pastor Ralph Grace because what we're gonna do, and I'm so glad that he's here with us. We're gonna talk about political things. We're going to talk about religious things. We're going to talk about, sexuality in the church and all of these things. Yeah. We're going to do that on another show for sure. But I just wanted everybody in America and all around the globe to get a synopsis of who this man is. And he has been with us, been with me for a very long time. And we've seen each other grow and go through things.
Can we go back to the memorabilia real quick?
Yeah, we can go back to the memorabilia.
So I got all of his sermons. I got thousands of them, right? Manuscript, and I'm sure there's probably some I don't have, but and my dad's been gone 4 years, right? I just started listening to a couple of his cassettes.
Wow. Yeah. Now let me ask you this: what took you so long to do that?
I don't know. I didn't know how I would feel when I heard his voice. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because you long for your father.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I get it.
Yeah, and so popped it in. I was in the office one day. I said, listen. And it just took me back. And I'd smile and I'd grin from ear to ear because you're talking about a flat-foot preacher of the gospel. Ooh,
standing flat-footed and firm.
Man, and the artistry and the imagery. A good preacher will take you through images. A good gospel preacher will make you feel like you were in Jerusalem or you're at Jericho. Oh man, and those him and all my Dutch uncles, all the guys, because he had preaching buddies there. And I grew up in that, around that. And so it probably has a lot to do with how the anointing dripped from Aaron's head to his beard and down to his feet and on his children. I was around that all the time. And so, so I listened to it and it felt good. And I even, I asked my brother if he wanted one and if he wanted a few tapes. So I gave him a whole box of them. He said he didn't really say yes or no.
Right.
And I get it.
Because you've been there.
Yeah, I get it. And my mom hasn't listened to any at all.
Yeah, well,
either is my wife.
It's going to be difficult for your mom for sure.
Yeah,
because she's been with that man way before you were even.
Oh, they were married 56 years.
That's a lot of time.
Something like that.
A lot of time. Yeah. And so how's mom doing today?
Doing good. Mom's doing good, man. Mom's doing well. Mom, she's also a customer at Live Again.
There you go.
Wellness. So
there you go.
Mom is always getting her IV and cells are strong. Immune system is strong. She's not slowing down. She's traveling. She's doing what she does.
Doing what she does and what she does best.
Yeah.
All right, America. This has been the Element of Inspiration, Brother Marcus podcast with Pastor Ralph Graves. Now, we're going to be back with him on another occasion because we're going to talk about some other things. But make sure you keep it locked, as I say on the radio. Keep it locked right here to the number one inspirational podcast on this side of the globe. We'll be right back, America. And as I always say, don't you touch that podcast.